Welcome back to the deep dive. So we've journeyed through the first 11 chapters of Genesis, what scholars often call a primeval history, right? Creation, the fall, the flood, Babel. Huge universal stories.
Exactly. It's been vast, chaotic even. But today, it feels like the camera lens just zooms right in, abruptly.
It really does. We shift completely from that wide-angle view of all humanity to, well, to one guy, one family.
And that shift is profound. After the whole Babel incident in Chapter 11, where everything's scattered, you might expect another, I don't know, grand gesture for everyone.
Right. Like, how does God plan to heal this fractured world?
But that's not what the sources show us. Instead, it's this incredibly quiet, almost personal call to one man, Abram, living way off in Ur or Haran, far from the center stage, really.
And this marks the official start of the next major section, doesn't it? The patriarchal history.
It does. This is where the whole narrative starts to funnel down. Everything begins to flow through Abram and his descendants. It's the foundation for, well, pretty much everything that comes after in the biblical story.
Exodus, the kingdom, all of it.
All of it. And it all hangs on these promises God makes to Abram, 3 huge foundational promises. And honestly, they seem utterly impossible at the time.
Impossible is a good word for it, especially given Abram's immediate reality. We're talking about the Abrahamic covenant here.
There's the one. The absolute scaffolding for the rest of the text. Think. Land, descendants, and blessing. Those are the pillars.
And that's our mission for this deep dive, isn't it? To unpack not just what those promises are, but how Abram actually tries to live them out. Because it gets messy. Fast.
Oh, definitely. We're going to cover the call itself, which was just radical. He had to basically burn every bridge.
Then there's that immediate test in Egypt.
Oh.
A big one.
Yeah.
Involving some serious moral compromises.
Yep. And then the split with his nephew, Lot. Necessary, maybe, but pretty dramatic.
And maybe the most surprising bit, Abram showing up as this effective warrior, like out of nowhere.
It's quite the turn. So yeah, buckle up. It's going to be an epic journey we're tracing today. Okay, so let's start with the call itself. The command God gives Abram while he's still in Haran, it's one of the most demanding things asked of anyone in these early stories.
And you've got to remember, he wasn't just some wandering nomad. He was part of a big established household, right?
Yeah.
His father, Terah, had already moved them from Ur.
Exactly. And the source just lays out the command, boom. Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee.
Wow. That's total severance. Think about what that actually means in that world.
It's huge.
Leaving your country, your nation, okay, that's one thing. But your kindred, that's your whole safety net, your clan, your allies, your trade connections.
Gone. And then leaving your father's house. That's your inheritance, your social standing, your cultural roots. It's basically asking him to become a nobody.
Yeah, it's not just choosing a new path. It's like cultural self-erasure.
Absolutely. In the ancient Near East, everything, your identity, your safety, your future, was tied up in who you were related to and where you belonged. To just walk away from all that.
Especially at his age.
Right. And become this totally vulnerable outsider. And the kicker, God doesn't even tell him where he's going at first.
No map, no destination name, just a land I will show you.
Talk about blind faith. You're literally trusting God with the geography.
And let's anchor this. The text says he was 75 years old when he left Haran. 75. That's not exactly prime pioneering age.
Not at all. But he does it. He departs, just as he was told. And he's not alone, is he?
No, he takes Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his nephew, plus all their stuff, their wealth. And that really interesting phrase.
Yeah.
The souls that they had gotten in Haran.
Yes. The souls they had gotten. That little detail tells you something, doesn't it?
It implies his household was already pretty significant, right? People acquired through birth or maybe purchase or joining his service.
Exactly. It suggests he was already a substantial figure, the leader of a pretty large group, before they even set out for Canaan. This wasn't just one old man wandering off. It was a whole community on the move.
Okay, so he takes this massive leap of faith. Let's circle back to why. Those 3 promises, they had to be compelling, right? Let's start with the first one. Nation descendants. God says, I will make of thee a great nation, make thy name great.
And here's where the sheer audacity, the drama of the covenant really hits you. Because to be the father of a great nation, you need a son, an heir.
Okay.
But Genesis 11, the chapter right before this, verse 30, it states it plainly. Sarai was barren. She had no child.
Right, the text makes it completely explicit.
Absolutely explicit. So the very foundation of this great nation promise is built on what seems like a biological impossibility. It screams from the start that this whole thing only works if God intervenes. Human ability is irrelevant here. That's such a key point. It forces you, the listener, to get it. This covenant isn't about Abram's potential. It's about the power and faithfulness of the one making the promise.
Precisely.
Okay, so that's descendants. What about the second promise, the one that makes this bigger than just Abram's family? The blessing and mediation part.
Yeah, this is where the scope just explodes, really. God tells Abram first, you shall be a blessing, personally.
Okay.
But then, critically, in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. This is the game changer. It means Abram isn't just being set up for local fame or fortune. His whole calling is ultimately meant to benefit everyone.
So his family line becomes the conduit, somehow, for God's blessing to reach the whole world.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
A channel for divine favor flowing outwards. It gives the whole story this universal dimension right from the start.
Wow. Okay. So, descendants against all odds, blessing for the whole world. And then the third promise, the one that's more immediate, more practical, protection and land. Right. God says, I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. Basically, divine security detail for the guy on the move.
That's pretty important when you're walking into unknown territory.
Crucial. It means anyone who interacts with Abram, positively or negatively, deals directly with the consequences from the promise maker. And this protection is tied directly to the promise of land.
And Abram acts on this immediately. He travels into Canaan, gets his first Shechem, the plain of Moreh. But the text throws in that little reality check, doesn't it?
It does. And the Canaanite was then in the land.
He's arrived, but
Yeah.
he's an immigrant in someone else's territory.
Yeah.
The promise is still just that, a promise, purely future tense.
But then God appears to him right there and confirms it specifically. Unto thy seed will I give this land.
And Abram's reaction is immediate. He doesn't stake a claim with a fence. He builds an altar.
Exactly. Worship comes first. He builded an altar unto the Lord who appeared unto him. And then later he moves on between Bethel and Ai, pitches his tent, and builds another altar. And there he called upon the name of the Lord.
So these altars are like spiritual landmarks, claiming the territory for God even though he doesn't own a square inch of it yet.
That's a great way to put it. Dedicating the promised, but not yet possessed, land back to the one who promised it.
So he's made this radical journey, built his altars, shown incredible faith, and then bam, reality bites hard.
Yeah, the honeymoon phase doesn't last long, does it? Almost immediately after he gets settled, this external crisis hits, and it directly challenges that land promise. A famine, a big one.
The source says, there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land.
It's such a dramatic turn, and it really exposes Abram's, well, his humanness, his frailty.
Also,
Well, think about it. He's just been promised this specific land, divine protection, and yet the first sign of trouble, a lack of food, sends him running. Where? To Egypt.
Egypt, the symbol of stability, grain, established power, everything Canaan wasn't at that moment.
Exactly. So seeking refuge there, while practical maybe, is also kind of a vote of no confidence in the promise, isn't it? Choosing immediate survival over trusting God in the promised but currently starving land.
And things go from bad to worse, almost as soon as they get near the border. Abram's fear just takes over.
Completely. He cooks up this deception plan involving Sarai. He knows she's beautiful, a fair woman to look upon.
And he's afraid the Egyptians will see her, want her, and just kill him to get her out of the way.
Right. His logic may be understandable from a purely self-preservation standpoint, is just morally shaky. And it puts the entire covenant at risk.
How so? Because Sarai is the key.
She's everything. The promise of a great nation depends entirely on her. But Abram tells her, say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee.
Wow. He puts his own skin ahead of her honor and ahead of the promise itself.
Pretty much. He prioritizes his physical survival.
And the terrible thing is the plan actually works, at least initially.
It works in the worst possible way. They get into Egypt, Pharaoh's officials spot Sarai, sing her praises to the boss, and boom, she's taken into Pharaoh's house.
Just like that.
Yeah.
His fear leads directly to the very situation he should have been trying to avoid losing Sarai.
And here's the really crazy irony. Pharaoh, believing Abram is just Sarai's brother, treats Abram well because of her.
He actually profits from this.
Massively. The source lists it out. Sheep and oxen and he-asses and men servants and maidservants and she-asses and camels. Abram becomes incredibly wealthy because he basically allowed his wife to be taken into the royal harem.
Okay, wait, hold on. This is a huge contradiction, isn't it?
Yeah.
Abram, the guy with the divine covenant, fails this massive moral test, almost wrecks the whole plan, and he walks away richer. How does the text justify that?
That question really gets to the core of what this covenant is about. The text seems to be saying pretty strongly that the covenant's success doesn't ride on Abram being perfect. It rides on God being faithful.
So God steps in despite Abram's failure.
Directly. The text says, "And the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife." Notice why the plagues happened because of Sarai. God protects the promise, protects the woman essential to it, even when the human covenant partner messes up badly.
So God's faithfulness overrides Abram's fear and failure. The covenant is stronger than human weakness.
That seems to be the point. God acts, even at the expense of this pagan king, Pharaoh, to preserve the physical integrity of the promise, which at this point is embodied in Sarai.
Astonishing. And Pharaoh eventually figures it out, right? He connects the plagues to Sarai.
He does, and his confrontation with Abram is just, wow. Talk about a role reversal.
He says, "What is this that thou hast done unto me? Why didst thou not tell me that she was thy wife?"
Exactly. Pharaoh, the supposedly pagan ruler, becomes the voice of morality here, calling out the chosen patriarch.
It's incredibly humbling for Abram, surely.
You have to think so. The result is immediate expulsion. Pharaoh tells his men, "Get them out of here," and they escort Abram, Sarai, and all that wealth right out of Egypt.
So, the takeaway here, Abram's human, he's flawed, he gets scared.
Definitely.
But God is absolutely committed to his promise, and he'll intervene to protect it, even when Abram drops the ball.
Precisely. Abram leaves Egypt much wealthier, physically safe, but you've got to imagine deeply humbled. It wasn't his cleverness that saved the day. It was divine intervention cleaning up his mess. The story underscores God's commitment, not Abram's perfection.
Okay, so Abram's back from Egypt. He kind of failed the moral test down there, but financially he made out like a bandit.
Yeah, the text is very clear. He returned very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. All that wealth, ironically, gained through that near disaster in Egypt.
It immediately causes the next problem, doesn't it? Conflict, this time with his nephew, Lot.
It's the direct consequence. Both Abram and Lot were now incredibly wealthy. Lot also had flocks and herds and tents, just way too much stuff for one area.
The sheer scale of their combined operation, all those animals, all those servants, it just became unsustainable logistically, especially in Canaan.
Exactly. The land couldn't support both households together. And that led to friction, strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle.
And the source reminds us why space was so limited, right?
Yes. The Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled then in the land. They weren't alone. They were squeezed in among the local population, making resources like grazing land and water sources incredibly precious. That scarcity became the breaking point.
But here, Abram's character seems different, more noble than in Egypt.
A definite contrast. He steps up as the peacemaker. He appeals to their connection. Let there be no strife, for we be brethren.
And then he does something really remarkable for a patriarch, the senior figure. He gives Lot the choice.
It's extraordinary, really. He says, "Look, is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left."
He yields the power of choice. He's basically saying, you pick the prime real estate, I'll take what's left. He's choosing the unseen promise over the visible advantage.
And Lot. Well, Lot makes his choice based entirely on what he can see. Immediately.
He lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere. This is before Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed, remember?
Right. And the text paints a picture. It looked like the garden of the Lord, even like the land of Egypt.
Ah, that comparison again. Egypt, the place of visible prosperity, abundant water, the place they just left.
Exactly. Lot chooses the landscape that reminds him of worldly security and comfort. He picks the lush, easy option over sticking close to his uncle, perhaps, or over embracing the harder, drier land where the divine promise was centered.
He goes for the obvious material advantage.
He does. He chooses that rich plain, moves east, settles among the cities there, and specifically pitched his tent towards Sodom.
And the narrator immediately drops that ominous footnote.
Right away, just to make sure you don't miss the context. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly.
So Lot chooses apparent prosperity, but it leads him right to the doorstep of deep moral corruption.
Oof, a fateful choice. Meanwhile, Abram accepts the quieter, perhaps less obviously fertile land. And what happens right after Lot leaves?
God speaks to Abram again, immediately.
Yes. The moment Abram is alone, having acted selflessly and demonstrating trust, God basically doubles down on the land promise.
Tells him to look everywhere, right? North, south, east, west.
Lift up now thine eyes and look from the place where thou art. It's this sweeping, panoramic confirmation.
And it's not just a vague promise anymore. All the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. That forever feels new, stronger.
It does. It rewards his patience, his generosity. And God repeats the descendant promise too, making it even more vast, almost tangible.
The dust of the earth comparison.
Yeah. I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Utterly uncountable, land forever, family beyond measure.
And Abram's response. He moves his tent, settles in Mamre, near Hebron.
And builds another altar, consistently marking his reliance on the promise even as it expands.
Right, now we get to a part of Abram's story that feels, well, unexpected. The quiet altar builder suddenly becomes this, action hero.
Huh. Yeah, Genesis 14 shifts gears dramatically.
Right.
Abram the sojourner becomes Abram the military commander, and he gets pulled into this huge regional conflict, the Battle of the Kings.
And this isn't just some local squabble, is it? The text anchors this in real-world geopolitics.
Oh, yeah. This is big league stuff for the time. You've got a coalition of 4 powerful kings from the east, Mesopotamia mostly. Think Amraphel of Shinar, maybe connected to Babylon, and Chedorlaomer of Elam, a major power center.
Invading Canaan.
Right. They're coming to discipline 5 local Canaanite kings, including the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah, who had apparently been under Chedorlaomer's thumb for 12 years and decided to rebel.
So this is basically an imperial army putting down a rebellion in the provinces, an ancient world war playing out right near Abram.
Pretty much. And the invaders are cleaning up, they march down, defeat various groups, and then crush the 5 rebellious kings in the Vale of Siddim. Total victory for the Eastern Coalition.
They plunder Sodom and Gomorrah.
Take everything, goods, food, and people, including Lot, because he chose to live near Sodom.
Oh, man. Lot's choice comes back to bite him. Hard. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed.
His pursuit of the easy life leads directly to captivity, but Abram, despite Lot choosing to leave, his reaction is immediate loyalty.
Someone escapes, tells Abram the Hebrew.
And that label, the Hebrew, it marks him as distinct, right? Not just one of the local Canaanites. Anyway, Abram hears Lot's been taken.
And he doesn't just sit there. He reacts like someone with resources.
It's big time. The source drops this detail. Abram armed his 318 trained servants born in his own house.
Well, hold up. 318 trained men born in his house. That's not a shepherd. That sounds like a private army.
Doesn't it? We need to pause on that. This isn't just a random posse. These are skilled, loyal men, part of his permanent household. If he has 318 fighters, his total camp, women, children, other workers must have been huge. Easily over 1,000 people.
So Abram is basically a powerful, independent chieftain or warlord in the region.
He certainly seems to have the capacity of one. He's a major force.
And his military response is impressive. He doesn't just chase them. He strategizes.
Very much so. He pursues this victorious army way north, up to Dan. Then he divides his forces, a risky but classic tactic, attacks them by night, and routs them.
He beats the winners.
Beats them soundly, chases them even further north near Damascus. It's an incredible military feat. He defeats a coalition of established kings.
And gets everyone back. Lot, the goods, the other captives.
A whole lot. Abram the patriarch has just shown he's also Abram the protector. A formidable one.
Okay, so after this amazing victory, he's heading back, and he gets met by 2 kings.
Right, in the Kingsdale. First, the king of Sodom comes out, understandably eager to get his people back, but then there's this other figure, much more mysterious, Melchizedek.
Melchizedek, king of Salem. Who is this guy?
He's one of the most intriguing figures in Genesis. He just appears. King of Salem, which everyone pretty much agrees is Jerusalem, and priest of the Most High God.
A priest, before the official priesthood is established. And not one of the local Canaanite priests.
Exactly. He's outside those systems. A priest-king worshiping El Elyon, the Most High God. It's fascinating.
And he brings out bread and wine. That feels significant, ritualistic.
It does. And then he blesses Abram. But listen to how he blesses him.
He blesses God first, right?
Yeah.
Calls God possessor of heaven and earth.
Yes. And then blesses God for delivering Abram's enemies into his hand. Melchizedek recognizes the true source of Abram's victory wasn't just military skill. It was God's power, the covenant power.
So this encounter validates Abram's connection to the Most High God.
It absolutely does. And Abram's response confirms it. He gives Melchizedek tithes of all, a tenth of the spoils.
Which is a formal act.
Recognition, submission, really. Abram, the victorious military commander, acknowledges Melchizedek as a higher spiritual authority. It affirms that his God is the God, served even by this mysterious priest-king. It's huge.
Wow. Okay, so Melchizedek vanishes as quickly as he appeared. Then we have the final scene. The king of Sodom wants to make a deal.
Yep. The king of Sodom says, basically, you saved my people, thanks. Keep all the loot, just give me back the citizens, give me the persons, and take the goods to thyself.
Seems like a fair offer after Abram rescued them all.
Maybe, but Abram refuses. Vehemently. He swears an oath to the Lord, the Most High God, using Melchizedek's term for God, notice.
Good.
And it says, I will not take from a thread even to a shoe latchet, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich.
He doesn't want anyone thinking his prosperity comes from Sodom.
Exactly. He insists his wealth, his success, must be seen as coming only from God, from the covenant blessing, not from the spoils of war provided by a corrupt king like Sodom's.
That's a big contrast to how he got rich in Egypt, isn't it?
Yeah. Massive contrast. He learned that lesson. Wealth gained through moral compromise, Egypt, led to strife. Now he refuses wealth gained even through righteous military victory if it connects him to corruption. He wants his provision to be clearly divine.
He keeps his integrity clean this time, though he lets his allies take their share.
Right. Ashner, Eshcol, and Mamre, his confederates, they get their portion. But Abram himself, he wants nothing from Sodom. It shows that even though he's now proven himself a powerful warrior, his ultimate trust isn't in his military might, but solely in God's promise. #, conclusion.
What an absolute packed sequence of events to kick off Abram's story. I mean, think about it. This radical call, the long journey, the failure in Egypt, the rescue, the wisdom with Lot, and then boom, warrior king.
It really is an extraordinary opening act. And it's just full of these paradoxes, isn't it? Radical faith right alongside very human weakness and fear.
Yeah, and through it all, the constant theme seems to be God's faithfulness, holding things together even when Abram stumbles.
That feels central. Abram is tested constantly. Famine, fear, sudden wealth, family conflict, even war. But the covenant promise survives, not really because Abram is so great, but because God is so committed.
Yet. Despite all that happened, the miles traveled, the altars built, the wealth gained, even defeating kings, we end this section still facing that core burning tension of the covenant.
Absolutely. He's respected, he's rich, he's proven himself, but he's still fundamentally landless. He owns nothing but the spots where he built those altars, a sojourner.
And the biggest but of all, Sarai is still barren.
Still barren. That foundational promise descendants like the dust of the earth, it's still biologically impossible. The entire future hinges on a bloodline that simply doesn't exist yet.
So all this divine interaction, all these promises, they're guaranteed only by God's word, right? There's no physical proof, no human way to make it happen.
None whatsoever. It hangs entirely on the spoken promise.
Which leads you to ask, okay, how does that get solidified?
Yeah.
How does God make that kind of impossible promise binding, formal? Especially when nature itself seems stacked against it.
And that is exactly where the story goes next. Abram basically asks for that assurance, and God responds, not just with words, but with this incredibly dramatic formal covenant ceremony in Genesis 15.
The smoking furnace and the burning lamp.
That's the one. A truly terrifying picture of divine commitment, guaranteeing the promise in a way Abram can't miss.
Okay, definitely need to unpack that. So next time we dive deep into the covenant of the pieces and God's unbreakable guarantee.
It's a powerful passage. Looking forward to it.
You won't want to miss that deep dive. Join us then.